Hey, what's up YouTube? You're watching Ready Set Drone, and if you're thinking about buying a DJI camera drone in 2022, I'm here to talk you through the entire lineup and give you some advice on which one might be right for you, so stay tuned. So 2021 was a pretty amazing year for the drone community. Lots of new tech coming out, lots of new drones, both on the camera side, the FPV side, even some cool toy drones that do battles and all kinds of stuff. But DJI is still the dominant player in the camera drone space and becoming a bit more dominant in the FPV space with this guy. So I just want to cover the DJI lineup for 2022, the main drones you can get. Of course, you can get used old drones and stuff like that. But these are the ones that I think are going to be easiest to buy, easiest to get repaired, and you'll see most frequently flown. Let's start with the Mavic Mini 2. Actually, it's not even called the Mavic Mini 2, it's called the Mini 2. They got rid of the word Mavic from several of these drones. This is the drone that took the place of the original Mini, and it has a big upgrade with OcuSync 2.0. What is OcuSync 2.0? It's a transmission signal that gives you video from the drone to your controller or phone and allows you to see really crystal clear images of what you're shooting from a pretty far distance. Now, OcuSync 3.0 also came out and is in a couple of these drones, but this has OcuSync 2.0, and that's a big step up from the enhanced Wi-Fi that the original Mini had. As a matter of fact, they have the original Mini and they have one called the Mini SE. Honestly, for the price difference, which is not that much, I would just go ahead and get the Mini 2 if you're going to get it. Now, who is the Mini 2 for? This is for people who are very casual drone flyers who just want to take it on vacation, get some cool shots, be pretty under the radar as far as flying goes because it's really quiet, and someone who doesn't want to mess with having to get an FAA registration. This thing's under 250 grams, so you can fly it without an FAA registration, without your Part 107. Of course, you can fly all these without your Part 107 if you're not flying professionally, but it's a great little drone for someone who's very casual and wants something also very lightweight and portable, reliable, takes great looking 4K video, all those reasons. I feel like if you are just starting out in drones and you really aren't worried about taking professional video or even maybe doing YouTube stuff like that, you just want some nice pictures from an aerial perspective or video from an aerial perspective, this is a really great choice. It's a pretty low cost too. It's the cheapest, lowest cost of all of these here on the table. So starting with one of these is a great place to start. But if you think you might want to do more professional video or kick it up to like a YouTube channel or content for online or content for your own vlog or whatever, the Air 2S is a great choice. It's the big brother to the Mini 2. It has a lot more features. It has longer flight time. It can do a couple of things that one can't. And it's also just a little bigger, a little more solid, and feels a little bit more like a professional drone. This thing doesn't feel like a toy necessarily, but it is very lightweight by design and designed to be something that is more of a casual user, whereas this one here feels like you're getting into more serious hobbyist grade type drone. I use the Air 2S a lot. It's one of my favorite go-tos as far as a camera drone goes because it is a good balance of size and performance. And honestly, if you only could buy one drone out of all of these, this is probably the most versatile out of the whole thing and the best balance of cost and performance. So the Air 2S gets really high marks in my opinion. But again, if you want to save a little money and get something that's a little smaller and easier to carry, the Mini is a great choice. But I'd say if you are planning to fly drones a lot and want something a little more robust, the Air 2S is an excellent choice. Now you can, I think, still buy the DJI Mavic Air 2, which is the older version of this, and it's a fine drone as well. The biggest difference is the camera on this thing is quite a bit better than the old one, and they've also smoothed out some of the flights. The hyperlapses are smoother. There's a few enhancements on this over the original Air 2 that I would recommend going ahead and getting this. But if cost is a big consideration, then you might consider the original Mavic Air 2, which is still available on DJI's website as of this recording. Next up is a drone that is out of production, but still available used and still a very fantastic choice. And as a matter of fact, this has been the workhorse for the last 3 years of the drone photography industry and hobbyists. It's the Mavic 2 Pro. and it has a great camera. It is very easy to get parts for and get repaired because there's still lots of them out there. If you're looking for extra batteries, there's plenty of them. This thing, you really can't go wrong with it. And if you're looking for something that is used and don't want to spend quite as much as you would for, say, a Mavic 3, the Mavic 2 Pro is a great choice. I highly recommend, if you do buy it, find one that has some extra batteries and things like that, because they will eventually become scarce. As you know, if you try to find parts for some of the older drones that were out a few years ago, it gets a little harder because they just don't make them anymore. But if you got one of these with 3 or 4 batteries, you would be good to go for a long time flying and taking video and photos with it. So of course, in late 2021, DJI announced the Mavic 3. This is currently their flagship camera drone. This thing has an amazing camera with 2 different lenses, a really high resolution lens and a zoom lens that lets you go way, way in. It's got crazy flight time, like almost 45 minutes. And again, this is not a review of all these, it's just sort of my opinion on who they're good for and comparisons. This right here, if you can afford it, is the top end of the consumer and even professional videographer and photographer drone world. This guy, of course, comes in 2 flavors. There's the regular version, and then there's a Cine version that has a 1 terabyte SSD drive built into it. But even if you get the regular version, the video and photography is amazing. They're coming out with more and more features for it in the DJI Fly app, so that's also really cool. Again, the price is the big barrier for a lot of people on this, especially if you want to get the Cine version. But if you're doing professional videography, and if you're doing a big YouTube channel or shooting for other YouTube channels, this would be a very good choice. No one would scoff at you if you showed up on a shoot with one of these. Now next up are 2 other drones that are a little outside of the category of the foldable drones. Neither of these drones fold. They're still both available on the DJI website. This is the Phantom 4 Pro V2. Now, this drone I've had for quite a while. I've used it quite a bit, but not recently. Recently it's been sitting in the box and not getting used as much because these are such good options. The biggest advantage of this guy right here, number 1, is the mechanical shutter. So if you're shooting high-speed action, if you're shooting race cars, if you're shooting action sports, then the mechanical shutter makes a difference as far as how sharp those images are that you can take with both still photography and video. Also, because of its size and its big motors, this thing has some good lifting capacity. It can pick up quite a bit of weight. It has these legs that allow you to attach to it. It doesn't fold, so it's very rigid structure. It's a solid platform. This was DJI's platform for the first few Phantoms that they came out with before they started the Mavic series, and it's a good platform. It's just kind of big and bulky. If you're a professional cinematographer and you're looking for something with a mechanical shutter, this might be a good way to go versus these others. But as far as convenience goes, traveling with these is so much easier because they're smaller. And down to the Mini, you know, this guy right here versus this, look at that. Do you want to travel with this or do you want to travel with this? I'd take this any day. But ultimately, the Phantom 4 Pro V2 is still a good choice. It hasn't been put out to pasture yet. Will there be a Phantom 5? Who knows? I don't know. But it's a solid platform. And if you're looking for something that's big, that makes a statement, that has a mechanical shutter, and that is a really solid platform for video and photography, this is still a good choice. One other great thing about this is very easy to hand catch. I have hand caught the Phantom drones for a long time. So if you're flying on a boat or in a situation where you're on something that's moving, or you're in a situation where you're on a narrow space and there's not room to land or a rocky area, it's super easy to reach up and safely catch one of these legs and then kill the drone, kill the propellers. I have a little more trouble. You can hand catch these guys. You can't really hand catch this unless you're Ken Dono. He probably could. But these guys are a little harder to hand catch. This one is easier to hand catch. So if you're flying off a boat a lot, this might be a better choice as well because it'll take right off. You can fly with it, and then when it's time to land it, you can bring it in and grab it by the leg here and then kill the throttle. So that's another consideration for the Phantom 4. And finally in the lineup is the DJI FPV Drone. This guy right here took the world by storm in 2021, and a lot of people got into flying FPV that weren't there before. It's built on the DJI goggles version 2, which is a very solid set of electronic digital HD goggles. and it is fun to fly. You can fly this thing in normal mode, you can fly it in sport mode, and you can fly it in acro mode. All of them are different experiences, but it's a really great way to start flying FPV. My only hesitation about this for FPV is it's pretty big, it's pretty fast, it's pretty heavy, and you need a fair amount of space to fly it like it's meant to be flown as an FPV drone. It's got enough inertia and mass to it that it could do some damage if you hit something. So you want to have a big open space to fly this in. If you're getting into FPV, you could do this, and if you have a big space to fly, then that's great. If you're looking for something a little smaller, you might start with the little 4S ducted FPV quad as one to learn how to fly on in a smaller space. But again, DJI made it so easy for people to learn because you can put the goggles on and have the FPV experience in a very stabilized, GPS-enhanced mode, and it'll just stay right wherever you put it, just like it flies just like a Mavic in the case when you have it in normal mode. And then as soon as you flip it into sport mode, it flies like a Mavic, only faster and a little more intense. And then when you put it into acro mode, it flies like a freestyle FPV quad. You can do flips with it, you can do rolls with it, you can do all kinds of fun stuff. It's a blast to fly. It really is fun. I don't use it exclusively. Certainly, probably as a matter of fact, with my FPV quads, I probably use it about a third or a quarter of the time that I fly FPV, but I still enjoy flying it. And I think if you're just starting out and you want to get into FPV, and again, you have a big space to fly, this is a good choice, the DJI FPV. So quick recap on these drones. The Mini 2, great choice for the casual flyer who might just want to go out and take it on vacation, take some photos from the air, some video from the air, doesn't want to have to register and like something small, lightweight, compact, and easy to fly. The Air 2S, a step up from the Mini 2. It does all the things the Mini 2 does them a little bit better, flies a little bit longer, is a little heavier, so you do have to register it. You have to register all of these down here. But it's a great choice for someone who might be a little bit more into the drone hobby than this one. This is really for someone who's more into taking good aerial photography but doesn't care that much about flying drones. This one is more for people who want to start getting into flying drones and looking for something that is a little bit more robust and expandable. The Mavic 2 Pro is a great choice if you're on a budget and you're looking for a really good 1-inch camera sensor that you can take great videos and photos with, but it is discontinued. And it's something that you'll have to buy now and just kind of keep an eye out for parts and things like that. I think they'll be available for the next 2 or 3 years very easily, but just keep in mind that this is technology that is going to be sort of sunsetted at some point, as they say. Now the Mavic 3, this is the current flagship of the DJI camera series, and it shows. This thing is great flight time, amazing videos, amazing photography, amazing zoom, lots of cool features built into the Fly app, and they're releasing more all the time. If you can afford it, you can get this guy, especially if you get it with the RC Pro. It's really a dream to fly, and something that I would say should probably be an upgrade, or if you're diving into drones wholeheartedly, camera drones, and you want to make business out of it or do it for YouTube and can afford it, this is a good choice. The Phantom 4 Pro V2, great choice if you're flying off a boat, great choice if you want to make a statement with something big, great choice if you want to attach things to it like an action camera, but probably a bit much for someone who's a casual flyer and certainly not great to travel with. So consider all that. If you're looking for something that's a little more compact and light, these are your choice. But if you're going to be flying just in one space and looking for something with a mechanical shutter, this is a great choice. And then finally, the DJI FPV drone. This thing is fun. It's a great start into FPV. Like I said, you need a big open space to fly this in. If you live in a city and you don't have a lot of park space where you can fly, then I probably wouldn't start FPV with this, because once you do, you're going to want to go crazy, and it covers a lot of ground really quickly, so you need a big field. There are smaller options out there that you can get. But if you're into FPV and you want to start flying, and you have space to do it, this is a great choice. So I'd love to hear your comments about which of these DJI drones you think is best and why. Comment below and I'll be sure to answer. Thanks for watching Ready Set Drone, and we'll see you next time.